we usually operate under this assumption that the internet is just this completely borderless space.
Right, yeah.
Like you type in a URL and suddenly you're browsing a boutique in Tokyo or reading a server hosted in Iceland or, scrolling through a marketplace in Paris. It just feels infinite.
Totally infinite.
But then, ever so often, a company decides to build this massive, invisible digital wall right in the middle of that open space.
Oh, yeah. We see it all the time.
And today, I am so excited to welcome you to our deep dive because thanks to a really fascinating new teardown published just today, June 27, 2026, by the Kbeauty blog Dewyfile, we're basically watching one of those digital walls get dismantled brick by brick.
It is such a good read.
Right. Our mission today is to look at what exactly happens when corporate e-commerce meets a hyper-organized, incredibly tech-savvy community. And we're using the current uproar over Olive Young as our ultimate case study for this.
Yeah, and the timing of this Dewyfile teardown is just brilliant because it captures a collision that honestly goes way beyond skincare.
Oh, absolutely.
We are essentially looking at a masterclass in modern e-commerce friction. I mean, Olive Young making this massive U.S. push opening their new physical stores in Pasadena, launching a dedicated U.S. exclusive online mall that really should have been a massive win for stateside Kbeauty fans.
You would think.
Right. But instead, it triggered this immediate, highly organized revolt.
The total revolt, and from an incredibly loyal customer base, too.
Yeah.
And before we get into the really clever ways people tried to bypass this new system, we kind of have to look at the catalyst.
Yeah, the why behind it all.
Exactly, because you don't get this level of pushback unless a nerve is just seriously struck. When shoppers were forced onto this new U.S.-specific site, they didn't look at it as an upgrade.
Not at all.
They saw higher baseline prices, a sudden vanishing of all those hard-to-find Korean exclusive brands, and honestly, a loyalty system that just felt like a bait and switch.
Yeah, the loyalty program adjustments were severe. I mean, the data from the Dewyfile breakdown really highlights this. The spending threshold to just maintain top-tier status effectively doubled.
Doubled. That is wild.
Yeah, we are talking about a jump from a $300 threshold to a $600 threshold, and within the exact same 6-month qualifying window.
Ouch.
Right. And for a consumer base that, meticulously tracks their routines and plans their restocks to optimize those specific rewards, doubling the financial requirement practically overnight, it just fractures the trust that brand loyalty is built on in the first place.
Okay, let's unpack this with a scenario for you. It's like, imagine your favorite neighborhood indie coffee shop gets franchised.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You show up one morning, and suddenly your usual order costs twice as much. The secret menu you spent literally years figuring out is just gone. And to top it all off, they've actually changed the locks on the original shop so you can't even go back to the way things were.
Yeah, and that lock change, that is really the mechanical core of this entire situation.
Yeah.
Because Olive Young didn't just, introduce a new U.S. storefront and gently nudge people toward it. They took their original global mall, the platform that had seamlessly served these shoppers for years, and they abruptly geo-blocked it for any U.S. visitor.
Just lock them out.
Completely. No transition period, no overlap whatsoever, just an immediate hard redirect to the new, pricier U.S. site based entirely on where your internet connection originated.
Which, okay, wait. If e-commerce sites ultimately just want to make sales, and move inventory, why lock the front door so aggressively in the first place?
It does seem weird at first.
Yeah, it seems totally counterintuitive to block eager buyers just to force this quote-unquote localized experience down their throats.
Well, the logic only really makes sense when you look at the back-end corporate logistics.
Oh,
localization sounds like this great customer service term, but behind closed doors, it is almost always a margin protection strategy.
Ah, got it.
When a massive retailer like Olive Young sets up a localized presence, they're signing new regional distribution contracts. They're paying U.S. warehousing costs.
Right, which are huge.
Massive. They're hiring local staff, managing domestic shipping logistics. All of those operations are incredibly expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if they leave the cheaper global mall open, their tech-savvy U.S. customers will just continue buying straight from Korea.
Which completely undercuts the brand's own expensive new U.S. infrastructure.
Exactly. The geo-block is basically a blunt instrument. They use it to protect their new regional profit margins. This raises an important question, though, about how brand loyalty can turn into brand hostility when a company misjudges its core audience.
And they really misjudge their technical savvy because, so they build this digital fence to herd everyone into the more expensive pasture.
Yeah.
But if you know anything about internet routing, and if a brand shuts the door in your face, you don't just walk away.
Nope. You try to pick the lock.
Exactly. You try to pick the lock, and that's what prompted the next phase of this whole saga, which is the actual hands-on test in the article.
Right.
Driven by this abrupt lockout, shoppers started asking, like, okay, if the site is only looking at where my internet connection is coming from, can I just spoof my location?
Which is a very logical technical escalation. I mean, the Dewyfile testers actually put this to the test. They use NordVPN, and their goal was just to route their connection through a server outside the United States.
And the shocker here isn't just that it worked, but how flawless the illusion was at first glance.
Oh, yeah, it was immediate.
The digital wall just vanished, the redirect stopped, and they were dropped right back into the original global mall. The testers described seeing the old familiar layout, the old membership tier structure, and crucially, the original pricing.
Yeah, that's what they were really after.
Right. They could browse highly sought-after items, like they specifically mentioned the Anua PDRN serum bundle, and they could just watch it sit in their cart at the cheaper rates they remembered. They said it felt like time travel.
I love that description. And the reason that front door swings open so easily is due to the fundamental mechanics of browsing-level geoblocks.
Right. Break that down for us.
Sure. Think of an IP address as like the digital license plate on your internet connection.
Okay.
It broadcasts a broad geographic identifier. When you navigate to an e-commerce site, the front-end server basically glances at that license plate. If it says United States, boom, it triggers the redirect script.
Gotcha.
But by activating a VPN, the testers essentially swap their license plate for one registered in Japan or South Korea. So the server asked, "Where are you from?" The VPN answered, "Not the US," and the server just let them right in.
Because front door security on e-commerce sites is generally designed to be incredibly low friction.
Exactly. You want window shoppers.
Right. You want people to look at the merchandise, get invested, fill the cart. The website doesn't want to interrogate you while you're just browsing.
Precisely. The whole web architecture is built to assume you are who your IP address says you are,
Yeah.
right up until the exact moment risk is introduced into the equation.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because that risk hits the second you try to check out.
Yep. The illusion shattered.
The illusion was flawless right up until money had to change hands. Then they hit this massive hidden layer of digital security. But, okay, let's look at the troubleshooting process here. If the VPN gets you all the way into the store and lets you fill your cart,
Right.
why couldn't a shopper just turn the VPN off right before clicking Submit Order? Or, I don't know, use an incognito window to trick the site into forgetting the redirect entirely.
Well, it's funny you asked that because the testers anticipated that exact thought process.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they tried adjusting the VPN to a closer international country just to minimize the geographic jump. They tried clearing their cookies. They even switched web browsers entirely to try and outsmart a protocol known as device fingerprinting.
Okay, wait. For those who might not spend their days reading cybersecurity manuals, what exactly is the site looking for if it's not just cookies?
Oh, device fingerprinting is a much more sophisticated tracking method. Yeah, even if you clear your cookies, a website can run scripts that look at your specific screen resolution,
Wow.
your operating system version, the specific fonts you have installed on your machine.
Wait, it checks your fonts?
Yes, your fonts, your hardware configuration, and even your battery level.
Battery level. That is insane.
It really is. It compiles all those tiny data points into a unique signature, a fingerprint. So if you browse the global mall with a VPN on your laptop and then try to drop the VPN to bypass a shipping restriction at checkout,
A website catches you.
instantly, it recognizes your device's fingerprint from the previous session, flags the discrepancy, and just kicks you back to the US site.
That is wild. The site is practically pulling a composite sketch of your hardware.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even when they kept the VPN on and tried to just power through the checkout, it still failed.
Right, the hard failure.
The transaction hit a hard stop the exact second they submitted a US-issued credit card. What's fascinating here is that the payment form actually accepted the US shipping address without generating an error.
Which kind of makes sense, I guess, because people send international gifts all the time.
Exactly. But the moment the buy button was clicked with a US card, the system completely rejected it.
So wait, if the website's front door let them through and the shipping form accepted the physical address, Who exactly slammed the cash register shut?
The global financial system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we are looking at a massive disconnect between a retailer's website architecture and a payment processor's fraud detection algorithms.
Okay, explain that.
So, a VPN is incredibly effective at tricking a web server's initial region check, like we talked about, but it is completely useless against financial networks.
Interesting.
When you hit checkout, the payment gateway utilizes something called address verification systems, or AVS. These independent card networks, they do not care about the website's localized routing.
Right.
They look at the IP address initiating the purchase, they ping the bank to verify the billing address attached to the card, and they look at the card issuer's actual geographic location.
It's like slipping past the bouncer at a really exclusive club using a fake ID.
Right. That's a great analogy.
But then, when you finally get to the bar to buy a drink, the bartender asks for your passport, a utility bill, and then actually calls your bank to verify your identity.
Yes.
The front door security and the financial security are just completely different beasts operating on entirely different rule books.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. The financial rules are automated and they are rigid. When the payment gateway sees a foreign IP address, which, remember, the VPN provides,
Right.
submitting a U.S.-issued credit card tied to a U.S. billing address to ship goods to a U.S. physical address, that specific combination triggers an immediate automated kill switch.
Because to a fraud algorithm.
Exactly. To a fraud detection algorithm that looks exactly like a malicious actor in a foreign country trying to use stolen U.S. credit card details.
Yeah.
The risk profile is just simply too high, so the bank denies the charge. The workaround failed not because Olive Young's website was some impenetrable fortress, but because the global financial system is inherently paranoid.
That makes total sense.
Mhm.
So the technical door is locked and the financial door is deadbolted.
Yep.
And since this highly technical workaround failed at that final hurdle, the Kbeauty community had to pivot. Like, if you can't hack the site, what do?
You organize.
Exactly. You actively protest the brand and you start looking for new places to spend your money.
And honestly, the evolution of this pushback is fascinating to watch. The initial phase of all this VPN testing has rapidly morphed into a highly organized consumer subculture.
It really has.
Because this is a community that is incredibly data-driven. I mean, they are used to analyzing ingredient lists down to the parts per million.
Oh, yeah. Skincare fans do not mess around.
No, they don't. They track the efficacy of these complex multi-step routines. So applying that exact same analytical rigor to corporate pricing was just a natural next step.
And the organization is intense. In a matter of weeks, shoppers have built and circulated these massive spreadsheets.
I saw those.
Yeah? Comparing the old global mall prices, cell by cell, against the new U.S. mall prices. Petitions are gaining serious traction across Reddit and Instagram. Like, if you go look at Olive Young's official social media presence right now, the comment sections aren't filled with people excited about the new Pasadena store.
Not at all.
They are flooded with a singular, unified demand.
Yeah.
Give us the global mall back.
And the critical takeaway from this community reaction, which the article points out, is that the demand for the actual products hasn't dropped a single percentage point.
That's a huge point.
Shoppers still desperately want their COSRX, their Medicube, and all those viral sunscreens. What broke wasn't their love for Kbeauty. What broke was their tolerance for this specific corporate definition of localization.
Right.
Because when a brand promises a localized, tailored experience, the consumer expectation is, increased convenience and better service.
Better shipping, easier returns.
Exactly. But when the reality of that localization equates to paying more money for restricted access, the consumer feels structurally betrayed.
It feels less like a service upgrade and much more like a captive audience cash grab.
100%.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, if you're someone who just wants to replenish their skincare routine without needing a degree in network routing?
Well, the teardown highlights two main realities for the consumer. First, there is the inherent risk of the gray area.
Okay, the TOS violations.
Right. Subverting a checkout process, even if you could theoretically trick the AVS, runs a very high risk of violating a retailer's terms of service. And that can result in permanent account bans.
Which nobody wants.
No, it is a frustrating dead-end space for an eager buyer. But that frustration naturally drives the consumer to the second reality, the path of least resistance.
Right.
Because the free market almost always provides an alternative to friction.
Always. And in the Kbeauty space, the market is incredibly vast. You
Huh.
don't have to fight a digital wall when you can just walk down the digital street to a store that left its doors wide open.
Exactly. And the source explicitly points to competitors like Stylevana, who are perfectly positioned to capture this fallout.
Yeah, Dewyfile mentioned them specifically.
Because Stylevana operates on a global fulfillment model, they ship the exact same broad catalog of highly coveted Korean exclusives directly to the US. And crucially, they do it without these artificial region-locked silos.
No VPN required.
Right. They offer the global catalog and global pricing without forcing the consumer to spoof an IP address, fight with device fingerprinting, or trigger fraud alerts with their credit card company.
They're essentially providing the exact service that Olive Young just took away.
Which spells out a very dangerous reality for Olive Young's long-term U.S. strategy. If we connect this to the bigger picture, until they address the structural complaints regarding pricing parity and those loyalty tiers, they are fighting a losing battle. You cannot force a highly motivated, highly informed consumer base into a premium-priced silo when a competitively priced, frictionless alternative is literally one click away. Playing whack-a-mole with VPN access methods completely misses the point of why the consumers are using the VPNs in the first place.
They're trying to treat the symptom, not the disease.
Exactly.
Well, to wrap up our deep dive today, I think this entire saga perfectly illustrates the absolute limits of consumer tech workarounds.
It really does.
Like a VPN is a fantastic tool, and it might be able to trick a web server's front door, but it just shatters the moment it comes face-to-face with institutional financial security.
Yeah, the bank always wins.
The bank always wins. But beyond the tech, it really highlights the incredible power of an organized customer base that refuses to accept a downgraded experience disguised as a regional upgrade.
Absolutely.
They will test the network, they will analyze the data, they will rally the community, and when the friction gets too high, they will just seamlessly take their wallets elsewhere. I want to thank you for joining us today, for diving into the source material, and for exploring the fascinating and honestly sometimes really frustrating complexities of modern digital borders with us.
It definitely changes how you perceive the checkout process, doesn't it? I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you navigate your own digital purchases.
Oh, yeah.
As our money, our cultural interests, and our desires become increasingly global and borderless, corporations are simultaneously investing heavier and heavier resources into rigid digital borders just to control regional margins. Are we heading toward a future where our digital identity and our physical geography are locked in a constant invisible war every single time we click buy?